Alright, so here's the Street Bob startup. Street Bob always sounds really good. Hopefully y'all can still hear me past that. So all I can hear right now is exhaust. Alright, let's take the bike out. Okay, while I'm on my way out in the neighborhood, I'll go over some mods that I have on the Street Bob. So obviously the Vance & Hines short shots, those sound great. Got this Arlen Ness Monster Cleaner. Then I have a Dyno Jet Power Vision tune. I'm also sitting on a Saddleman step-up seat. Really good feeling seat, and because I have a chin-mounted GoPro, you're probably looking right through my Memphis shades, Road Warrior fairing, and windshield. One thing, I did just ride the FLHT, the electric glide, to Richmond yesterday from Maryland. So yesterday I did over 300 miles in ride. So initially I completely forgot how much lighter the Street Bob feels. This is just a lot lighter, a bit more nimble with the mid controls. I was considering switching the forward controls, but now that I have the electric glide as well, I think I'm just going to stick with this and maybe get a crash bar with some highway pegs. But yeah, definitely feels really good riding this. I think the Street Bob's super easy to control. It wasn't exactly my first bike. I bought two very cheap bikes that I had for just a couple of weeks off of Facebook, just a couple $100. But my first real bike was this, and I really think it's a great beginner bike. Super easy to control, easy to toss around, feels really good, has that adjustable rear shock. I bought a spanner wrench to adjust it. It's you can look at the user manual to see exactly the settings for based on how much you weigh, or if you have a passenger, if you have luggage or anything. Suspension feels great on this. I have no issues riding this bike, even as a beginner bike, and I've put a lot of miles on this bike just over the summer, probably about 5,000 miles in the span of 4 months. Doing a lot of long trips, you know, out to West Virginia and back, and to Richmond, and just different parts on the mid-Atlantic coast. I think y'all would really enjoy this bike if you're new to riding, because it's definitely it's great for me. I'm just happy every time I'm on this bike, and I think most of y'all would be too. It's just a really good feeling bike. Downshifting feels great. Want to take it into four there, you know, feels really good. So here, kind of want to pull it here a little bit to get past all these guys. There we go. Very easy, very light to get it going. Doesn't take much effort, especially with this stage one on there. Yeah, I think it was a great bike to learn on. Literally my first time ever riding a motorcycle was this season, so learning everything from turning and everything was pretty new to me. So even taking this left turn when I first started riding was pretty difficult, but I think the Street Bob being so nimble made it really easy to figure out how to take this left turn and not feel like I'm going to fall in that ditch over there. But that left turn is pretty interesting with the downgrade that it has and everything. I've rode manual all my life, so at least I already knew the basics of a clutch and everything. But still, clutch on a motorcycle and throttle and everything different than on a car, so I had to kind of learn that. So yeah, the bike looks great. I have some scratches on the tank, gotta get that buffed out, fixed. Just the overall look of the Street Bob is great. So here we go, we're gonna move through some of these corners. I don't even need to brake through this one. Kind of hug that middle line a little bit. Always looking around. Really easy to just drop this bike under you and get it to lean and everything. So it's a really good feeling bike. Here we go again. Get it to lean down some like that. And then, yeah. Definitely don't want to get too close to that trash truck up there. I'm sure you've been in the motorcycle and been behind some of those trash trucks. Does not feel good. So let's slow down a bit here. And then this pretty blind corner here, but I know pretty well. This is another pretty deep corner. Suggested is 25. I can usually take it around 40-ish, but here we go. A little bit of front brake on this one. Lean in. Kind of roll out through it. Feels good. Feels super good. And for those of you who just took the MSF course and like, oh, you're braking through the corner, I was like that at first too. You know, the slow look, press and roll where you slow down, you look at your corner, you push the handlebar which way you want to go, you press the handlebar, and then you roll on the throttle. That is a good starting point, but slow look, press and roll is not perfect every single time. A little bit of front brake, not squeezing the front brake to where you kind of like clench it and you toss yourself off the bike, but just a little bit of front brake to get you going. I plan on making a full video on turning and cornering and everything, so I can go more into that later. But yeah, it's the streetbob. Really good looking bike, really great handling bike, really easy to ride, very nimble, very quick. You know, with the stage 1 on there, I think I'm upwards of like 90-ish horsepower. So, oh, my brother's calling me. Pick that up later. But yeah, I think it's with the stage 1. I haven't got a dyno, but I know it's right around probably upwards of like mid-90s in horsepower, and all that, and picks up really quick. As you've seen in some of my previous videos, I did have a Ninja ZX6R. It's not that level of fast, but I still like this bike 10 times more. I had the Ninja ZX6R until I sold it. Sold it and actually traded it in for that FLHT. So Ninja was just not my style. You know, being an injured combat vet, being in that position for any amount more than 10 minutes was very uncomfortable. I rode it the whole way back from where I picked it up in the dealership, which is like 45 miles from here back here. By the time I got back, my legs were numb. I was hoping that feeling would kind of go away. It didn't. Everyone was saying having a 300 or whatever, it's like 380 pound bike or whatever it is going to be so much easier to handle. Not for me. I could not make turns in that thing. Never figured out how to U-turn on it. Spent hours in a parking lot trying to figure out how to U-turn on that bike. Could not U-turn. Couldn't take tight turns. I could not take that left turn that I took up there earlier that I showed y'all in the Ninja. It's just not a bike for me. So was able to actually sell it at pretty much what I bought it for. So that wasn't too bad. Lost out like 800 bucks, but that's okay. Worth it for me to get into a bike that actually I really like. So this is gonna be kind of like my sport cruiser. You know, 5,000-ish miles in a few months was a lot of riding. A lot of 300-mile days, 200-mile days on the streetbob. Felt really good. So that blind corner, I always got to be kind of careful. I know I've talked about it before, but you got to take it slow up through there. And then now I have this and the FLHT, and I'm just going to work on these two bikes. Maybe get a stage 2 on this eventually. You know, feel pretty good. I'm actually happier about the 3.5 gallon tank now that I have a tank with a bike with a bigger tank, so it's not that bad. Okay, so a couple downfalls of this bike. I wouldn't say a couple. The only one that I'm thinking of right off the bat, I'm not doing anything scripted, so I'm just thinking of all this stuff right off the top of my head, is that I have an oil leak on the bike, but I have that scheduled to get fixed the week after next. So they're doing that under warranty, obviously. Leaking oil with like not even 7,000 miles on the bike, so that's good that they're gonna fix that for me. I'm I'll pull it a bit here. I think there's a car up here, but yeah, another truck. But yeah, you get the gist. It's really quick acceleration, feels good. But yeah, oil leak, getting fixed, so not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, the paint scratched pretty easily, but you know, I was using a whole bunch of like magnetic holders and stuff before too that kind of scratched the tank a little bit, so I'm not using that anymore. Like I mentioned in one of my videos before, I was planning on painting the bike. Kind of put that on hold. A lot of stuff going on personally. You know, a lot of stuff on my mind, especially with the Afghanistan stuff. But that's why I got the bikes. Literally this year. I don't know if I would have made it through without, you know, the hours of just contemplating on the roads and thinking about all of that. So it's really a blessing that I had that opportunity to, you know, ride around like this. And yeah, and if any of y'all, anything you're going through, combat vet or not, it's kind of what I do. I like to help people out. It's kind of my civilian job. Literally helping people, you know, live a better life. So if y'all need any type of guidance like that, that's what I'm here for. But yeah, this is my neighborhood right up here on the right. I'm gonna take the other entrance in for a little bit more of a straight shot, but that's it. That's the 2020 streetbob FXBB Stage 1. Great beginner bike in my opinion. If you don't think it's a good beginner bike, you can let me know, but in my opinion, I think it's phenomenal for a beginner bike. I don't see why you would need anything any smaller than this. I know it's a 107, you know, in terms of displacement, it might sound too big, but then my Ninja was a 636cc, you know, small engine like that. It wasn't inline four, but it had like 130 horsepower. That was not a good beginner bike. I was going 100 on that bike before I even knew it. But this bike, great beginner bike. So let me know your thoughts on that FXBB, and then we'll go ahead and get on to FLHT. Alright, pulling into the garage. There is the Electra Glide. One thing I love about the Electra Glide Standard is this is a really stripped down street glide. Not all the crazy stuff, but the only thing is it didn't come with, of course, this 2-up seat. This is a Harley Sundowner. Didn't come with these passenger pegs. It's the only thing I've added. I like the stripped down look. So a little bit quieter still until I get the stage 1 on it, or at least an exhaust on it and everything. Cool, so FLHT on the way out of the neighborhood. Little things I'll talk about is I love this little panel up front. That's kind of everything I need. Looks good. Quick look at the RPMs, quick look at everything I need to look at. And like I mentioned when I was on the streetbob, a bit heavier. I think what weighs like 860 pounds compared to 600 something on the streetbob. So I got about 200 pounds more on this, but at the same time it does not feel like I'm having to like lug this thing around. It's still pretty easy for me to control, get around. Yesterday I'd say one of the biggest things I noticed, well, two big takeaways between this and the streetbob on a long trip. First, of course, the seat. Even with the Saddleman step up, which is very comfortable, nothing compared to sitting on this seat. Like, absolutely no butt soreness, no tailbone pain. I still get those after a couple 100 miles on the streetbob. This none. Another great thing, the cruise control. I loved it. Loved the cruise control. It was amazing. One quick thing I'll note, the difference between this and the streetbob too, negative on this, is the front brake on this. I feel like doesn't nearly have as much power as I would like it to have. the front brake feels like yeah, it doesn't stop me like I would think it would. So that's kind of weird. And you'll see through the twisties on this, I don't feel like it's like difficult at all. I don't go through any crazy like canyon twisties or anything, but still on this, I mean, I can take this turn one-handed. It's kind of like it's already more responsive than I need it to be. Just, you know, a little bit of counter steer and it goes. Here too. Typically you'd push here, but there's a little bit of counter steer over here. We'll have here. It's going. No issues. And, if I get all the way to this corner over here, I can even drop it all the way down to the point where I'm pretty close to the floorboards. No issues. Really good feeling bike. No difficulties. I thought I had some difficulties with that like weird downhill left turn at the stop sign over there on this. I'd say it's a little bit more difficult than streetbob, but not as hard as it was on the Ninja. On the Ninja, I can barely make that turn at all. I couldn't make that turn without stopping, actually. I had to stop on the corner, kind of like recuperate myself. So, for you more experienced riders, I'm sure stuff like that is easy. So, if you have tips on getting better at that, let me know. I do a lot of practicing in parking lots. I know real world is always different than parking lots, but always trying to get better. But yeah, this is such a good bike, so comfortable, way more nimble than you'd think looking at it. One of the comments my buddy made that he rides a Vulcan 650, that little Kawasaki cruiser. He said that on the streetbob I look normal size, but he said on this bike I look small. He's like, he told me I look small on this bike, so it's weird. I'm not a small guy. I'm about 5'11"-ish, 5'10" and a half, 200-ish pounds. Yeah, so not a small guy, but not a big guy either. But it's weird for me to look small on a bike, but it feels good. I feel like awesome on this bike. The fairing, anything below 60 blocks virtually all the wind. My visor is fully open right now. Nothing on my visor, just completely open. No wind on my face. I just sit up a little bit like that to get some wind on my face. Above 60, you get a little bit of helmet buffeting. My helmet will move around a little bit. So I'm thinking about getting like a different windshield. That Harley one looks pretty good. The black wind splitter is what I think they call it. It looks good, and I'm reading reviews that it may help with some wind. So that may be a possibility down the road to get into that. So here, I kind of avoid that little dip on the corner much more. That's why I kind of hug the middle. If I can do that safely, I'll do that, especially on this bike. That dip really has pulled me in before when I first started riding it. I was figuring it out. On the Ninja, I told you I stopped at that dip, had to pull myself out of it. All right, so here's this first corner here. There we go. Feels super good. Here's this nice corner. Yeah, I don't even need any front brake on this one, just right through it. Boom, boom. Yeah, pretty close to the engine guard there, but that's okay. That's what this bike's made for. If you're scared to lean like that, you'll have a lot of issues figuring your bike out. And actually, if you're scared to lean like that, you're missing out on a lot of the fun parts of your bike. So here we go again, smaller corner here. All right. I don't want to pick it up too fast here. Unfortunately, neighborhood here. I don't want to be that guy going like 60 down there. Neighborhood, I'm going like 48, but still though. Blind turn up here. Sometimes I've seen cars really come up the middle of the road. Right, downshift a bit here. A little bit of front brake on this one again, like I did in the streetbob, and kind of like release the front brake as I start the turn. I think people call that trail braking. I don't really feel like it's something specific. It just feels like the right thing to do. I definitely don't want to lock my rear tire up, so I don't rear brake. So I kind of just brake a little bit, just to control the bike through that turn, make it a little bit more stable. Slow speed turns, whole different stories. Slow speed turns, my foot is on top of that rear brake the whole time. And I'm one of those parking lot guys. I do probably at least 4 hours a week in parking lots. I am on that rear brake constantly. So if you see me at a stoplight or stop sign making those U-turns, tight turns, I am clutch, throttle, and rear brake. I want to be able to do it without the rear brake eventually, but that rear brake just really stabilizes the bike. And all of that is super easy. One weird thing about this compared to the street bob is where the rear brake is. I have to get used to really lifting my foot up and actually touching that rear brake. It's like, oh, that's weird. That's super weird, but you get used to it. There's no heel shifter on this, which I like. I think the heel shifter looks weird, but that does mean I have to lift up my toe a lot more. I have to kind of like really pick my toe up to hit that shifter. So that's odd. Another great thing I love about the Harleys is this auto canceling turning signals, which I did not have on the Ninja. So half the time I'm running around with freaking my turn signals on because I got used to it on this. Yeah, back through this road. Just kind of safely take it through second through here, especially through that blind turn where barely one car can fit through. I fit through there. A truck came through the other day. Me and this large like F250 squeezed next to each other. I was on the Electra glide. We squeezed right next to each other. I was pretty much touching the fence. He was pretty much touching the wall, and we kind of made it through it. But it is tight. Yeah, but this is great. I mean, everything. I highly suggest the Electra glide standard. Maybe not as a beginner bike, like a beginner bike, but if you're a beginner at my level, I think it's great. My level, less than 6 months of riding. I'm in my mid-30s, never rode a dirt bike, never rode a motorcycle. Less than 6 months of riding. I think that is that level of beginner, perfect. Brand new beginner. If this was my first bike, I might have given up on riding, maybe. But if my Ninja was my first bike, I probably would have never stayed with riding if I thought that's what riding motorcycles was like. So I'm glad I experienced a street bob, and then this, which is easier once you kind of have the basics of kind of like what to do in a bike. And again, this blind corner, it's gonna hug this corner here, and of course, like usual, no cars, which is good. So trying to make it up through here. This always feels nice, but yeah, electric glide standard, FLHT, nice and stripped down. If you don't need a full dressed up bagger like the street glide, like the full street glide, or any of the CVOs or the road glide. I like the road glides. I like the fairing on the road glide, that shark nose fairing, but it's probably the only reason I'd get that, just for that really unique looking fairing. I know some people hate it, but I think it looks pretty good. I'd be curious to test ride one day and see if I like it. When I bought this bike, I was actually debating between this and an older Road King, 2011 actually. So I came to the conclusion I wanted a Harley and a sport bike. I was wrong about that. So now I'm at definitely a Harley. Both Harleys, but one Softail, one touring bike. And I think I have a great combination. The street bob is kind of just like a stripped down, you know, Softail. Not as much like the Softail standard, but still pretty stripped down. Very simple, barely, not even any gauges on it. And then this, of course, the Electra glide. Doesn't have the touchscreen and all that. I don't need that. If I'm listening to music or anything, it's on my radio anyway. You know, it's on my headset. So I don't need all that craziness. Please like and subscribe. Really want to get this YouTube thing going. This is my first video on my GoPro. It's a used one, really old one, I think from like 2005 or something. But it came with the full motorcycle setup. I was able to get it already, so I wanted to get it. All right, thanks y'all.